Captain Lee Tejo stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge and watched the stars change color as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The view screen showed a massive space station floating in the darkness ahead. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built. Bright lights covered its surface like jewels on a crown. "We have arrived at Nexus Prime, Captain," said Navigator Park Min-soo from his station. His voice carried a mix of excitement and nervousness. "The Galactic Council is waiting for us." Tejo nodded and straightened his dark blue uniform. Today was important. After 50 years of peaceful contact with alien races, humanity was finally being invited to join the Galactic Council. Earth's leaders had worked hard for this moment. They wanted humans to take their place among the advanced civilizations of the galaxy. "Kim So-ra, how are our engines?" Tejo asked. Chief Engineer Kim So-ra looked up from her control panel. She was young for her position, but her skills with technology were amazing. "All systems working fine, Captain. Though I still think our engines are better than they say they are." Communications Officer Choi Dong-wook turned in his chair. "Captain, we are getting a message from the station. They want to guide us to the docking bay." "Put them through," Tejo said. The main screen changed to show a tall, thin alien with pale blue skin and large silver eyes. Its voice was smooth and musical when it spoke. "Welcome, honored humans. I am Controller Velthara of the Velthari people. We are so pleased you have come to join our peaceful community." Tejo stepped forward. "Thank you for having us. Earth is honored by this invitation. Your ship is quite interesting," Velthara said, looking at something off-screen. "So simple compared to our vessels. But do not worry. We will help you learn better ways to build things." Sora frowned at her station but said nothing. Tejo noticed her reaction. The aliens always talked about human technology like it was primitive, but Sora's engines had brought them here faster than the aliens said was possible. The docking took an hour. As they walked through the station's halls, Tejo was amazed by what he saw. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft light. Floating platforms carried people through the air. Strange music played from hidden speakers, but something felt wrong. The aliens they passed all smiled and bowed politely, but their eyes looked empty, like they were not really thinking for themselves. "The ceremony will begin soon," Velthara said as she led them to a great hall. "You will meet representatives from all the major species in our galaxy." The hall was enormous. Thousands of different aliens filled the seats. Tejo saw the tall, graceful Ethan with their glowing white skin, the wise-looking Corvani with their many arms and kind faces, dozens of other species he had only read about in Earth's files. "Look at them all," Min-soo whispered. "So many different people all living together in peace." 50,000 years of harmony, Velthara said proudly. "War, hunger, and suffering are things of the past. The Council has brought order to chaos." As they took their seats, Dong-wook leaned over to Tejo. "Captain, my equipment is picking up strange signals. There are a lot of military frequencies being used around here." "Military?" Tejo asked quietly. "I thought this was a peaceful station." "That is what I thought too," Dong-wook said. "But these signals are encrypted. Why would a peaceful government need secret military communications?" The ceremony began before Tejo could ask more questions. A tall Corvani with golden skin stepped onto the stage. His forearms moved gracefully as he spoke. "Welcome, people of Earth. Today you join the greatest civilization the galaxy has ever known. We offer you technology, wisdom, and protection. All we ask is that you follow our guidance and accept our help to become better than you are now." The crowd cheered, but Tejo noticed something strange. The cheering sounded forced, like everyone was doing it because they had to, not because they wanted to. Sora tugged on his sleeve. "Captain, look at my scanner readings." Tejo looked at the small device she held. It showed energy patterns he had never seen before. "What am I looking at?" "Underground levels," Sora whispered. "Lots of them. And they are using huge amounts of power for something. This station is not just for meetings and ceremonies." During a break in the speeches, Velthara approached them. "I hope you are enjoying the ceremony. Soon you will understand how wonderful life can be when everyone works together for the same goals." "It is very impressive," Tejo said carefully. "We look forward to learning more about your ways." "Oh, you will learn," Velthara said with a smile that did not reach her eyes. "We have special programs to help new species adapt. Your children will be the first to benefit." After the ceremony, they were given rooms in the guest area of the station. Tejo called his officers together for a meeting. Something is not right here, he said. Dongwook, what did you find out about those signals? They are definitely military, Captain. And they are talking about something called quarantine zones and population control. That does not sound very peaceful to me. And look at this, Sora said, showing them her scanner data. The power levels under this station could run a small planet. What are they doing down there? Minsu looked worried. Do you think we made a mistake coming here? Before Taeho could answer, Dongwook's communication device started beeping. He put on his headphones and listened carefully. His face went pale. Captain, I am picking up a transmission. It is very weak, like someone is trying to hide it. What does it say? Taeho asked. Dongwook's hands shook as he adjusted his equipment. It says, help us. They told the galaxy we chose to be alone. They lied. We are prisoners. They are coming for more of us. Warn everyone. The council is not what it seems. The room went quiet. Through the crystal walls, they could see the beautiful lights of the station and the peaceful aliens walking in the halls. But now everything looked different. The smiles seemed fake. The beauty seemed like a mask hiding something terrible underneath. What do we do, Captain? Minsu asked. Taeho looked at his crew. These were good people who trusted him to keep them safe. Earth was counting on this mission to secure humanity's future. But if the message was true, then everything they had been told was a lie. We need to find out who sent that message, he said finally. And we need to do it without letting the council know what we are doing. Outside their window, Nexus Prime continued to shine like a beacon of hope and peace. But now Taeho knew that sometimes the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. And somewhere in those shadows, someone was crying out for help. The question was, would humanity be brave enough to listen? 3 days passed before Captain Lee Taeho made his decision. The council meetings continued, with aliens praising humanity and offering them wonderful gifts. But the secret message kept playing in his mind. Someone out there needed help and he could not ignore that. Earth Command will not be happy about this, Navigator Park Minsu said as they prepared the Horizon's Edge for departure. We are supposed to stay here for 2 more weeks. I know, Taeho replied, watching the docking bay through the bridge windows. But we have to find out where that message came from. If people are in trouble, we need to help them. Communications Officer Choi Dong-wook had been working all night to track the signal. His eyes were red from staring at his screens, but he had found something important. Captain, the message came from a place called the Quarantine Zone. It is about 6 light years from here. According to council records, that area has been closed off for 300 years because of dangerous radiation. Chief Engineer Kim So-ra looked up from her engine controls. If there is radiation, how did someone send a message from there? And why would the council let people live in a dangerous place? Maybe they are not living there by choice, Taeho said quietly. The Horizon's Edge left Nexus Prime early in the morning, when most of the station was quiet. Taeho told the council they needed to return to Earth for more supplies. It was not exactly a lie, but it was not the whole truth either. The journey to the quarantine zone took 8 hours. As they got closer, Minsu found something strange on his navigation screens. Captain, there are ships out here. Lots of them. They are in a pattern around the whole zone like they are watching it. Council patrol ships, Dong-wook confirmed. They are sending signals to each other every few minutes. This does not look like a simple quarantine to me. Sora made the ship's engines run quieter and hid their energy signatures. Human stealth technology was supposed to be primitive compared to alien systems, but somehow it worked better than expected. The patrol ships did not see them coming. When they reached the edge of the quarantine zone, what they found made everyone on the bridge go silent. It was not empty space with dangerous radiation. It was full of planets and space stations and thousands of ships, but these were not the beautiful shining structures they had seen at Nexus Prime. These looked like prisons. My God, Minsu whispered. Look at the size of that place. Through the main screen, they could see a massive space station surrounded by smaller facilities. Ships were moving back and forth carrying what looked like cargo containers, but as they watched more carefully, they realized the containers had small windows. They were not carrying cargo. They were carrying people. Captain, I am picking up multiple distress signals now, Dong-wook said. They are coming from all over this area. Dozens of different species are asking for help. Take us closer, Taeho ordered, but keep us hidden. As they moved deeper into the zone, they saw more terrible things. Planets that looked like they had been strip-mined. space stations that were clearly designed to hold prisoners, and everywhere, ships with council markings supervising the work. There, Sora pointed to a smaller station near one of the planets. That one looks damaged. Maybe we can get aboard without being seen. The station had a big hole in its side like something had exploded. The horizon's edge was small enough to fit through the hole and dock inside. Taeho took Minsu and Sora with him to explore. Dongwook stayed on the ship to watch for patrol ships. Inside the station, they found evidence of a recent battle. Blast marks on the walls, broken equipment, and bodies. But these were not human bodies. They belonged to species Taeho had never seen before. "Captain, over here," Sora called from across the room. She was kneeling next to someone who was still alive. It was a woman, but she looked human. Her clothes were torn and she had injuries on her arms and face. When she saw them, she tried to crawl away. "It is okay," Taeho said gently. "We are here to help." "We are from Earth." The woman stopped moving and stared at him. "Earth, you mean? You are human?" "Yes, I'm Captain Lee Taeho." "What is your name?" "Dr. Yu Jiwan," she said, and started crying. "I thought I would never see another human again. I have been trapped here for 2 years. They helped Jiwon back to their ship and gave her food and medical care. Once she was feeling better, she told them her story. I was part of a scientific expedition," she explained. "We were supposed to study alien plants and animals to help Earth. But when we got to the planet we were assigned, we found something terrible. The aliens there were not free. They were slaves." "Slaves?" Taeho asked. "But the council said they had ended slavery thousands of years ago." Jiwon laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "The council is built on slavery, Captain. They just hide it very well. All those beautiful worlds you see when you visit their space, they are powered by the work of enslaved species here in the quarantine zones." She showed them data she had saved on a small device. Pictures of massive mining operations, biological research facilities, and factories where aliens worked under armed guards. "When our expedition found this out, we tried to report it to Earth, but somehow the council found out what we were doing. They attacked our ship and captured most of my team. I only escaped because I was on the planet's surface when they came." "Where are the others?" Minsu asked. "Dead, I think," Jiwon said sadly. "Or worse. The council does not just use aliens for physical work. They also use them for medical experiments." Sora was studying Jiwon's data on her computer. "Captain, look at this. According to these files, there are over 200 species being held in these zones. Some of them have been here for centuries. But why?" Taeho asked. "Why would the council do this?" "Control," Jiwon said. "Every species that joins the council has to give up something. Their military, their independence, their right to make their own choices. And if they refuse," she pointed toward the window where they could see the prison stations, "they end up here." Dongwook's voice came over the ship's communication system. "Captain, we have a problem. 3 council patrol ships are heading this way. We need to leave now." As they prepared to escape, Jiwon grabbed Taeho's arm. "Captain, there are others here who need help. The Zephyrians on the 3rd planet, they are the ones who sent the original message you received. They have information the galaxy needs to know. We will come back for them," Taeho promised. The horizon's edge barely escaped the patrol ships. Sora's engines performed better than they should have, and Minsu flew the ship through an asteroid field that would have been impossible for most pilots. The council ships could not follow them. When they were safely away, Taeho called his crew together again. This time Dr. Jiwon joined them. "What we have seen changes everything," Taeho said. "The council is not what they pretend to be. They are keeping entire civilizations as slaves." "But what can we do?" Minsu asked. "There are only 5 of us and they have thousands of ships." "We have to warn Earth," Dongwook said. "And we have to tell the galaxy the truth." Jiwon shook her head. "It will not be that easy. The council has been hiding this for thousands of years. They have ways of making people forget what they have seen, or making them disappear." Sora was quiet for a moment, then looked up from her computer. "Captain, I found something strange in our ship's computer systems. There are programs here that I did not install. Programs that have been reporting our location and activities back to someone." "Spying programs?" Taeho asked. "Yes. And they have been there since we left Earth. Someone has been watching us from the beginning." The weight of this discovery settled on everyone in the room. Not only was the council keeping aliens as slaves, but they had been spying on humanity too. The question was, how long had this been going on? And what else were they hiding? We need to get back to Earth, Tejo said finally. But first we need to rescue those Zephyrians and get their information. If we are going to expose the Council, we need proof that no one can deny. As the Horizon's Edge headed back toward the quarantine zone, Tejo looked out at the stars and wondered how many other terrible secrets were hidden in the darkness between them. The galaxy was not the peaceful paradise they had been told it was. It was something much worse, and somehow humanity had walked right into the middle of it. The rescue mission to save the Zephyrians took 3 attempts. The first 2 times, Council patrol ships forced Captain Lee Tejo and his crew to retreat. But on the 3rd try, Chief Engineer Kim So-ra found a way to make their ship completely invisible to alien sensors. How did you do that? Dr. Yu Ji-won asked as they approached the prison planet undetected. I am not sure, So-ra admitted, looking at her modifications to the ship's systems. I just followed what felt right. The mathematics should not work, but somehow it does. Navigator Park Min-soo guided them down to the planet's surface. The place looked like a wasteland. Red dirt stretched in all directions, broken only by large mining equipment and guard towers. In the distance, they could see groups of aliens working under the hot sun. There, Communications Officer Choi Dong-wook pointed to a cluster of buildings surrounded by energy fences. The Zephyrian survivors are being held in that compound. The Zephyrians looked like tall, thin humans with gray skin and large black eyes. When Tejo's team reached them, most were too weak to stand. They had been working in the mines for over 200 years, ever since the Council declared their homeworld quarantined. The eldest Zephyrian, who said his name was Elder Kif, could barely speak. But he had something important to show them. We kept records, he whispered, holding out a small crystal device. Everything. The Council does not want the galaxy to know. Ji-won connected the crystal to her computer and gasped at what she found. Captain, this is incredible. They have documented everything. How the Council controls other species, where they get their technology, and... Oh no, what is it? Tejo asked. The truth about humanity, Ji-won said, her face pale. We are not like the other species, Captain. We are immune to their control methods. The crystal contained thousands of years of Zephyrian observations. They had watched the Council conquer species after species using the same pattern. First, they would make contact and offer friendship. Then they would slowly introduce technology and ideas that made the species dependent on them. Finally, they would use advanced mental control techniques to make entire civilizations obey without question. But it did not work on humans during first contact, Elder Kef explained weakly. Your minds? Too chaotic, too unpredictable. The Council's psychic manipulation bounces off human brains like rocks off armor. So-ra was studying the technical data in the crystal. Captain, look at this. The reason our technology seems primitive to them is because they have been sabotaging human development for 50 years. Sabotaging how? Tejo asked. Computer viruses, faulty designs in the technology they gave us. Even changes to our educational systems on Earth. They have been trying to make us weaker and more dependent on them. Min-soo looked confused. But if we are immune to their control, why have they not just attacked us? Because they are afraid, Elder Kef said. Humans evolved on what you call a death world. Your planet is more dangerous than most species could survive. This made you different, stronger, more creative in ways they cannot understand or predict. Ji-won was reading more files from the crystal. Captain, according to this, every species in the galaxy has been held back from reaching its full potential. The Council has been suppressing natural evolution for thousands of years to keep everyone weak and controllable. But humans slipped through, Tejo realized. We developed on our own away from their influence. Until 50 years ago, So-ra said grimly. Then they found us and started the slow process of making us like everyone else. Suddenly, Dong-wook's emergency alarm started beeping. Captain, we have big trouble. A Council fleet just jumped into the system. Hundreds of ships. Through the compound's windows, they could see bright lights appearing in the sky as alien warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The ships were enormous, each one bigger than anything in Earth's fleet. They know we are here, Elder Kef said sadly. You must go. Take the crystal. Tell the galaxy the truth. We are not leaving you, Tejo said firmly. You must. If humans are captured now, the Council will study you. They will find ways to control your species too, then all hope is lost. More alarms were sounding now. Energy weapons began firing down from the sky, destroying the mining equipment and guard towers. But Taeho realized they were not trying to kill everyone. They were trying to erase evidence. They are destroying everything, Minsu said. All the proof of what they have been doing here. Sora grabbed Elder Kef's arm. Can you walk? We are getting you out of here. The old Zephyrian shook his head. Too weak, too old. Save the young ones. They managed to rescue 12 Zephyrian survivors and get them back to the horizon's edge before the council ships reached the planet's surface. As they lifted off, Taeho watched through the rear cameras as energy beams turned the entire mining operation to dust. They just erased 300 years of evidence, Jiwon said angrily, but Sora was smiling as she worked at her engine controls. Let them try to catch us. I have been making more modifications to our ship. We are faster than they think, she was right. The horizon's edge accelerated away from the planet at speeds that should have been impossible. The council ships tried to follow, but human engineering was proving to be far more advanced than anyone had realized. How is this possible? Minsu asked as they outran ships that were supposedly much more advanced. Because we were never supposed to be this good, Sora explained. The council has been holding back galactic technology for so long that they forgot what real innovation looks like. Humans never stopped pushing the limits. During the escape, Dongwook picked up council communications. What he heard made everyone on the bridge go quiet. They are not just coming after us, he reported. They are sending fleets to Earth, something called Protective Integration Protocol. It sounds like they are planning to invade. Jiwon checked the timestamp on the alien communications. Captain, those fleets left for Earth 3 days ago. They will arrive in less than a week. Can we beat them there? Taeho asked. Sora was already pushing the engines beyond their normal limits. I think so. But Captain, even if we warn Earth, what can we do? Our entire fleet is less than 100 ships. The Council has thousands. We have something they do not, Taeho said, looking at the Zephyrian crystal in his hands. We have the truth. And we have each other. As the horizon's edge raced toward Earth, Taeho thought about everything they had learned. Humanity was not the primitive species the Council pretended they were. They were something the galaxy had never seen before, a civilization that had grown strong without being controlled or limited by others. But now the Council knew that humans were a threat to their system. They would try to destroy Earth before humanity could spread the truth to other species. Captain, one of the young Zephyrian refugees said quietly, there is something else you should know. The Council leaders are not what they appear to be. What do you mean? Taeho asked. They are not just tyrants. They are parasites. They feed on the mental energy of enslaved species. That is why they need so many prisoners. Without them, the Council leadership would die. This revelation hit Taeho like a physical blow. The beautiful, wise aliens who ran the Galactic Council were not just evil. They were literally living off the suffering of others. How many people know this? Jiwon asked. Very few, the Zephyrian replied. Only the oldest slaves in the deepest prisons. And now you. Taeho looked out at the stars rushing past the ship's windows. Somewhere ahead of them, Earth was waiting, unaware that an alien fleet was coming to enslave or destroy them. Behind them, millions of aliens suffered in hidden prison camps while their captors fed on their pain. But humanity was not like the other species. They had grown up fighting for survival on a dangerous world. They had learned to adapt, to innovate, and to never give up when facing impossible odds. The Council thought they could control or destroy humanity like they had so many others. But they were about to discover that humans were not so easy to break. Dongwook, send a message to Earth, Taeho ordered. Tell them we are coming home with important information, and tell them to prepare for war. As the communications officer began transmitting, Sora pushed their engines even harder. The horizon's edge shot through space like a bullet, carrying the truth that would change the galaxy forever. The Council had spent thousands of years building their empire of lies and slavery. But they had made one critical mistake. They had underestimated humanity. The horizon's edge reached Earth just hours before the Council fleet arrived. Captain Lee Taeho barely had time to deliver his warning before the sky filled with alien warships. General Baek Jae-min stood in the command center deep under the Korean mountains, watching the tactical displays with growing concern. The Council fleet was massive, over 800 ships of various sizes, all arranged in perfect attack formation above Earth's atmosphere. Sir, we are getting a transmission from the lead ship. reported Lieutenant Park Yoon-ji. Put it through, the general ordered. The main screen showed Controller Velthera, the same alien who had welcomed humanity to Nexus Prime just days earlier, but now her expression was cold and threatening. People of Earth, she began, your representatives have committed serious crimes against galactic peace. They have violated quarantine zones and stolen classified information. For your own protection, we are implementing emergency measures. Admiral Song Yu-jin, commander of Earth's space fleet, stepped forward. What kind of emergency measures? All human spacecraft must be surrendered immediately. Your military forces must stand down. Your governments must transfer authority to council oversight. This is for your own good. And if we refuse? General Baek asked. Velthera's smile was like ice. Then we will be forced to protect the galaxy from your dangerous influence permanently. The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, everyone in the command center understood what they were facing. The council had not come to negotiate. They had come to conquer or destroy, but Earth was not defenseless. For 50 years, while publicly accepting council technology and guidance, human scientists and engineers had been secretly working on their own projects. Dr. Yu Ji-won's revelation about sabotaged human development had made them suspicious. Now they knew why. Admiral Song, are our fleets ready? General Bayek asked. Song Yu-jin nodded grimly. All 93 ships are in position. It is not much against their numbers, but we have some surprises they are not expecting. High above Earth, the Council fleet began moving toward the planet. Their ships were beautiful and elegant, designed to inspire awe and fear. Each one was a work of art, covered in flowing curves and bright lights. But the humans who faced them had learned different lessons. Human ships were built for war, not beauty. They were dark, angular, and covered in weapons that the Council had never seen before. The first engagement began when Council scouts approached the moon. Earth's defense platforms opened fire with weapons that bent space itself, creating gravitational waves that crushed the alien ships like tin cans. Impossible, Commander Zefkar of the Council fleet muttered as he watched his scouts disappear. Humans do not have gravity weapons. Sir, we are detecting energy signatures we have never seen before, his tactical officer reported. Their technology is completely different from what our records show. Chief Engineer Kim So-ra, now working with Earth's defense fleet, had spent the last few hours sharing everything she had learned about human technology's true potential. The modifications she had made to the Horizon's Edge were now being applied to every ship in the fleet. Remember, she told the other engineers over the communication network, do not think about what should be possible. Think about what needs to be done and find a way to do it. Navigator Park Min-soo was aboard the flagship EFS Unity, using his skills to coordinate attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. His ability to think in 3 dimensions, developed during their escape from the quarantine zone, was now being used to confuse and outmaneuver enemy fleets. The Council's second wave attacked Earth's orbital defense stations, but the stations seemed to disappear just before the alien weapons hit them, only to reappear somewhere else and return fire. Phase-shifting technology, Admiral Song explained to her confused officers. Our scientists figured out how to make solid objects temporarily non-solid. We can literally let their weapons pass through us. Communications Officer Choi Dong-wook had the most important job of all. Using the Zephyrian crystal and Earth's most powerful transmitters, he was broadcasting the truth about the Council to every species in the galaxy. The message was simple but devastating. The Galactic Council is built on slavery. They keep millions of species in hidden prison camps. They have been suppressing galactic development for thousands of years. We have proof. Across the galaxy, species that had served the Council faithfully for centuries began to question everything they had been told. On the Council world of Nexus Prime, Councillor Velthera received reports of uprisings on dozens of worlds. The humans are spreading lies and chaos, she told the emergency council session. We must implement the final protocol immediately. The final protocol was the Council's ultimate weapon, planet-killer devices that could destroy entire worlds in minutes. They had used it before on species that became too dangerous or rebellious. Now they were preparing to use it on Earth. But Dr. Ji-won had been busy too. Working with Earth's top scientists, she had been studying the Council's technology and biology. What she discovered changed everything. General, I know how to stop them, she announced, bursting into the command center with a tablet full of data. The council leaders are not natural beings. They are artificial parasites that feed on psychic energy, and I know how to cut off their food supply. She explained that the council's control over other species worked through biological implants that were invisible to normal scanners. Every species except humans had been given these implants during their first contact with the council. The implants not only made the species easier to control, but also drained their mental energy and sent it to the council leaders. But humans never got the implants, Jiwan continued. Our chaotic thought patterns made us immune to the installation process. That is why we can think freely when others cannot. So how do we help the other species? General Beck asked. We broadcast a specific frequency that will overload the implants and destroy them, but it has to be done from multiple points across the galaxy simultaneously. This was where the rebellion's Dongwook's broadcast had started, became crucial. On world after world, enslaved species were rising up against their council overseers. Many of them now had access to communication, equipment they could use to help spread the freedom. Frequency. Colonel Oh Sung-ho was leading Human Special Forces teams to liberate the remaining quarantine zones. Each freed prison camp became another transmitter in the growing network that would free the galaxy. Sir, we are ready, Dongwook reported. We have over 300 transmission points across 40 star systems. When we activate them all at once, every implant in the galaxy should be destroyed. But the Council was not going to wait for that to happen. Their planet killer ships were moving into position around Earth, charging their terrible weapons. 30 seconds to firing, Admiral Song reported. All Earth ships prepare for final battle. Wait, General Beck said. Dr. Jiwan, what happens to the Council leaders when their food supply is cut off? According to the Zephyrian data, they should weaken rapidly, maybe even die. Then we do this now. Dongwook, activate all transmitters. Across the galaxy, the freedom frequency began broadcasting. On millions of worlds, beings that had been enslaved for centuries suddenly felt their minds clear for the first time. The psychic energy that had been feeding the Council leaders stopped flowing. Above Earth, the planet killer ships suddenly went dark. Their weapons powered down, their engines stopped, and their crews began floating helplessly in space. What happened to them? Admiral Song asked. They are dying, Jiwan said, watching the readings on her instruments. Without the stolen psychic energy, the parasites that control the Council cannot survive. But the victory was not complete. There were still thousands of regular Council ships with alien crews who had been controlled by the implants. As the implants died, these beings began to wake up and realize what they had been forced to do. Some of them, filled with rage at centuries of enslavement, wanted to continue fighting. Others, horrified by their actions, immediately surrendered. The galaxy descended into chaos as old grudges and new freedoms collided. Captain Taeho, General Beck called over the communication system. We need you and your crew to help coordinate the peace efforts. You understand these species better than anyone. Taeho, still aboard the Horizon's Edge, looked at his crew. They had come so far from that first diplomatic mission to Nexus Prime. Now they were being asked to help rebuild the entire galaxy. What do you think? He asked his friends. The work is not finished, Sora said. We freed them, but now we have to help them learn how to be free. Minsu nodded. And we have to make sure nothing like the Council ever happens again. Then we have work to do, Taeho decided. As the immediate battle ended, humanity found itself in an unexpected position. They were no longer the primitive newcomers seeking acceptance. They were the liberators who had freed the galaxy from thousands of years of hidden oppression. But with that freedom came new challenges. How do you rebuild a civilization that has been based on lies for so long? How do you help species learn to think for themselves after centuries of being controlled? The answers would not be easy to find. But for the first time in galactic history, every species would have the chance to find those answers together, as equals. 6 months after the fall of the Council, Captain Lee Taeho stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Liberation Station. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from dozens of different species working together to build something the galaxy had never seen before. A truly free civilization. It had not been easy. When the psychic implants died and billions of beings suddenly found themselves thinking freely for the first time in their lives, many did not know what to do with their freedom. Some species had been enslaved for so long that they had forgotten how to make their own decisions. The Velthari are still having problems, reported Dr. Yu Jiwan. as she joined Taiho at the window. Generations of their people were raised to be the council's administrators. Now they feel guilty about what they were forced to do. And the Ethon? Taiho asked. They are doing better. It turns out their transcendence of physical needs was just the implants suppressing their natural emotions. Now that they are free, they are rediscovering things like art and music and love. Below them, a group of young aliens from different species were working together to repair a damaged transport ship. They were laughing and joking as they worked, something that would have been impossible under council rule. Chief Engineer Kim So-ra approached them, her face bright with excitement. Captain, you have to see what we found in the old council research facilities. They were not just suppressing technology, they were stealing it. She handed him a data tablet filled with technical specifications. Every major advancement the council claimed to have developed was actually stolen from species they conquered. Faster than light travel, energy shields, gravity manipulation, all of it came from civilizations they destroyed. So what does that mean for us now? Taiho asked. It means we can give it all back. Each species can reclaim their people's innovations and improve on them. Without the council holding everyone back, technological progress is accelerating, faster than we ever imagined possible. Navigator, Park Min-soo had been working with former council navigation officers to map the true extent of the quarantine zones. What they found was staggering. Over 300 prison systems hidden throughout the galaxy, containing the survivors of more than 1,000 different species. Some of these civilizations date back 50,000 years. Min-soo reported during the daily briefing. The council kept them alive as slaves but told the galaxy they were extinct. We are literally bringing the dead back to life. Communications Officer Choi Dong-wook had perhaps the most important job of all. He was coordinating the new galactic communication network that allowed all species to talk to each other directly, without council censorship or control. The translation programs are working better than expected, he reported. It turns out that when people are free to express themselves honestly, they find ways to understand each other even across language barriers. But not everyone was happy with the new freedom. Some species had grown comfortable under council rule and did not want the responsibility of governing themselves. Others held grudges against species that had helped the council oppress them. General Baek Jae-min, now serving as Earth's representative to the Galactic Liberation Alliance, faced these challenges every day. 3 more systems are asking for human peacekeepers, he told the daily council meeting. The Corvani and the Zephyrians are fighting over mining rights on a border world. We cannot be the galaxy's police force, Admiral Song Yu-jin argued. We freed them from the council, but they have to learn to solve their own problems. But if we do not help, some of them might try to create new versions of the council, worried Dr. Ji-won. Freedom is scary for people who have been slaves for centuries. Chairman Lee Woo-jin of the Liberation Alliance had an idea. What if we do not send peacekeepers? What if we send teachers instead? People who can help these species remember how to negotiate and compromise and work together. This became the new human mission in the galaxy. Instead of being the strongest military force, humanity became the mediators and counselors who helped other species learn to be free. Captain Nam Hyejin, a young officer who had graduated from the Space Academy just before the Council War, now commanded a new class of ships designed not for battle, but for exploration and diplomacy. Her ship, the New Dawn, carried teachers, doctors, engineers, and artists to worlds that were learning to rebuild their civilizations. We are getting reports from the edge of the galaxy, she told Taiho during one of his visits to her ship. There might be other councils out there, ruling other groups of species the same way. What do you think we should do about that? Taiho asked. I think we should go find out, Hyejin said with a smile that reminded him of his younger self. If there are people out there who need help, we should help them. The work was not just happening in space. On Earth, massive changes were taking place as humanity grappled with its new role in the galaxy. Schools were teaching alien languages and cultures. Scientists were working to understand technologies that had been hidden from them for 50 years. Artists were creating works inspired by the diversity of galactic civilization. But perhaps the most important change was happening in the quarantine zones themselves. Colonel Oh Sung-ho had been promoted to general and now oversaw the conversion of prison camps into rehabilitation centers. We are not just freeing the prisoners, he explained to a group of visiting journalists. We are helping them remember who they were before the council broke them. Some of these people have been slaves for so long that they have forgotten their own names. The process was slow and sometimes heartbreaking. Many of the freed slaves had mental and physical damage that would take years to heal. But gradually, as they regained their strength and dignity, they began to contribute their own knowledge and skills to the rebuilding effort. Elder Kef of the Zephyrians had survived his injuries and now served as an advisor to the Alliance. Despite his age and frailty, he worked tirelessly to help other species understand what they had lost during the Council years. "We must not forget," he said during one of his speeches. "We must remember the darkness so that we never allow it to return. But we must also remember that even in the darkest times there is always hope." The humans proved that. As the first anniversary of liberation approached, plans were made for a galaxy-wide celebration, but Tejo found himself thinking about the future rather than the past. "What worries you, Captain?" Sora asked as they watched a group of alien children playing together in the station's recreation area. "I keep thinking about what we missed," Tejo said. "The Council hid the truth for thousands of years. How many other civilizations might be out there, suffering under systems we do not even know about?" "Then we keep exploring," Sora said simply. "We keep learning and growing and helping others do the same. That is what humans do." Dr. G1 had been working on a project to document everything they had learned about the Council and their methods. Her research would become a warning for future generations about the dangers of accepting easy answers and comfortable lies. The scariest thing about the Council was not their weapons or their technology, she wrote in her final report. It was how reasonable they seemed. They offered peace, prosperity, and protection from the chaos of freedom. Many species chose slavery because it felt safer than responsibility. But humanity grew up with chaos. Her report continued. "We learned that danger and uncertainty are the price of growth. We learned that it is better to struggle and fail and try again than to accept limitations imposed by others." The galaxy was still far from perfect. There were conflicts and disagreements and mistakes. Some species struggled with their newfound freedom. Others moved too quickly and made dangerous choices. But for the first time in thousands of years, every mistake was their own to make. Every success was earned through their own efforts. Every choice was made by free minds thinking free thoughts. Standing on the observation deck, watching the busy traffic of ships carrying goods and people and ideas between the stars, Tejo smiled. The Council had tried to create a perfect galaxy by controlling everything and everyone in it. Instead, humanity and their allies had created something much better. An imperfect galaxy where everyone was free to become whatever they chose to be. The mask was gone. The darkness had been exposed and defeated, and in its place, billions of different lights were shining, each one unique and beautiful and free. The galaxy had finally learned what humans had always known, that chaos and freedom and the right to make your own mistakes were worth any price, and somewhere among the stars, Captain Nam Hyejin and her crew were already heading toward the unknown, ready to bring that message to whoever needed to hear it. The work was far from over, but for the first time in galactic history, it was work that everyone could share.